internet, my name is Isley and welcome back to my channel. So today, let's talk about my newest song, Prophecy. It is from my upcoming album, which I'm really hyped to share with you guys. It is coming this summer. The wait is almost over. It's been a long time in the making, but it's almost here. And so in honor of that, I decided to release another track. So Prophecy was a song that I wrote around the same time that I started writing Young, which was in 2017, I believe. A lot of these songs have a long history because it's just been a really slow process. Figuring out basically how to make an album, how to write songs, because I had pretty much no music background aside from loving music and listening to music a lot. I didn't go to any after school activities related to music. I didn't learn to read music. I didn't learn any chords or scales at school. But in a way, I feel like that gave me a lot more freedom than I have even now after, like a couple of years of writing songs. Not really knowing a lot of the technical stuff can be limiting at times, but it can be also very freeing because you just go for it. You do not question things. Your head isn't filled with stuff like, ooh, what chord should go there? What note should go there? What's this interval? A lot of it just comes naturally to you after a little bit of practice. So Prophecy was one of the few songs that in its entirety was written just by me singing it with no chord patterns, no nothing, well, literally nothing. I had a melody in my head, I had some lyrics in my head, and I just started singing them and I wrote them down. And I remember, I wrote that song, and then later I went to hang out with my parents. And I wrote an entire song, and they know that I don't play an instrument or didn't play an instrument at that time. So I basically sung that whole song a cappella, and turned out to be a pretty good song, good enough that I didn't want to let it go through those 2 years. Because let me tell you, the tracklist of the album since last year, I think I tweeted about it last year, it's gonna have 12 songs, I've decided on the tracklist. Nah, it changed. It changed so many times, and the longer you work on an album, the more the tracklist will change. There are quite a few songs that I just discarded because, not that they were bad songs, but I just wasn't passionate enough about them. But this one wasn't one of them, and it held up, in my opinion, against my harshest self-criticisms, through the lowest moments of self-esteem. It held up, and it may not be the best song that I've ever written, but it's a damn good one. And this song encompasses, in my opinion, perfectly what this album is going to be, both from the vibe overall, in the sound and the lyrics, just the overall sense of the song, like that dreaminess, that kind of like a anthemic sound that I tried to achieve. Let me tell you, that was a whole ass process too, I wanted that, the one constant that remained from the very start. I wanted that specific kind of bass, that specific kind of rhythm, dun 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 dun. Like that was, from the very start, I was like, this is going to be the basis of that song. But then the interesting things come in the composition, where my best friend Ivor V came in. Once again, like he usually does, helping out with all of my songs. There isn't a single song that he hasn't helped me out with, and I am beyond grateful for his help. And the lead synth that you hear in the verse, not that bass synth that I talked about, but the melodic one that you hear in the verses, and then the bridge, and then the last part or the last chorus, that was his doing, that was his composition. And with added filters and reverb, the way that it sounds, I just could not replicate that sound with anything else. It just has that archaic, grand vibe. That's why I feel like the verses are the strong parts of the song, which was not intentional, but it just happened that way. They just sound so pretty. As I say, not to suck my own D, but it sounds really cool, and I hope y'all enjoyed it too, because that combination of that rhythmic bass and then that huge sounding synth is so fucking good. And then those drums, I wanted the big drums. I'm a slut for big drums, okay? During my song reactions, y'all know that I will always point out the big drums or good percussions and stuff like that. I love those things, and I wanted the big drums. Did I know how to do that? Nah. That was a lot of trial and error. That instrumental went through I don't know, 20 different versions. The essence of it didn't change much. Like I said, the basis being that lead synth that my friend Ivor V put together, and then the bass that I wanted in the song from the start, those didn't change. Everything else went through a lot of things. Initially, the song actually had a longer first verse and a shorter pre-chorus, and it was over 4.5 minutes long, I think, and it was damn good. But once again, my friend comes in and he's like, you should make it shorter, you know, because the first verse gets boring. And I'm like, okay, you know, I didn't like the idea at the time, but I was like, okay, because, you know, I trusted his instincts. He usually has a feel for those things. So I did shorten the first verse, and I made the pre-chorus twice as long, which shortened the song a little bit and, you know, made it less repetitive, I feel like. But if there is enough demand, or if I will just feel like it in the future, maybe I'll put together the original version, how I originally wrote the song, with the first verse twice as long and the pre-chorus shorter, because I think that interests people. Well, I know, as a music lover and a music nerd, I know that interests people. But yeah, let's get on to the lyrics. We haven't really talked about the lyrics yet. The song starts with the line, "There is a place that I dare to call home," and that is already like the essence of this whole song and this whole album. First of all, home is a topic that to me is very personal, and in all sorts of media, you know, like that journey home is one of my favorite tropes. A character gets whisked away on a journey and they either find home somewhere else or they come back home. So the song essentially is about finding your own place in the world, whether it will be in the real world or in your imaginary world, like some of us do, you know, like we have these fictional universes in our brain that we sometimes run to when real life gets too much. This is about that, and the chorus, we don't want to be the ones to grow old, it's just pretty much about my fear of getting old and dying, but you know, that's not fun to talk about. More so, however, it's about just wanting to not lose that spark that you have when you're young, because that's another thing that I want to talk about in other videos. But I always worry that I will end up like one of those people like, oh, kids, am I right? Or like, oh, kids these days, or like, oh, back in my day, because I know that like when you reach a certain age, sometimes it's 18, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 30, you start complaining about how things are not how they used to be. And like, I get that urge too, but also I know that it's really annoying from a young person's perspective. Like, is there anything more annoying than old people whining about how the old times were better? No, there is not, and I don't want to be one of those people. This song is about, you know, it's about staying forever young, without actually saying that, which ties into the theme of the album really well. It's about having a place to belong, where you feel comfortable, where you can be fully yourself. And it's just all wrapped in a little bit of a cryptic, fantasy-like wrapper, because there are lines like, "It's not a prophecy till it's spoken out loud," which is actually, I think, the first line that I thought of. That's where the name came from. I had actually forgotten that, but that was the first line that came to my head. It's not a prophecy till it's spoken out loud. And I wanted that to be like kind of like something that you shout, which is kind of a similar sentiment to like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, did it really make a sound? You know, that kind of weird shit. I just love fantasy, cryptic stuff that is wrapped in poetic language and fantasy concepts. Basically everything that is not real. You know, that's why I love animated films, because they're real life concepts and real life lessons wrapped in a pretty package. So overall, Prophecy is just about not getting old in your heart, remaining youthful and hopeful and brave and fierce. And I've been talking way too much about the song, but apparently I have a lot to say about it. It's just really dear to me, and like, it's not my favorite end product from all of the ones that I made so far, but it's one of my favorite concepts, hence why it didn't really get thrown away, because it was a bitch to produce. You know, like some songs come along easier, others you have to work really hard on and like go through hell and back to make them sound good. You know, this was one of the more difficult ones, but I think the concept is what carries it, and just the overall vibe. So yeah, hope you like Prophecy. There will be new music really soon, as well as some other videos that I'm planning for this channel. We are reviving this baby. So yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting nice things on both Prophecy and Heart and You. I got so many lovely comments on Heart and You, and I still do. They always make my day. Thank you guys. And of course, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. I love you guys. Bye! Mwah!